Hello, this is Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today I am feeling, I've been feeling kind of unmotivated, and I'm not exactly sure what that's about, so we're going to do a reading about it, and I have a variety of things I'm going to use here. First, let me light this candle, and I'm going to use this oracle deck that I received. I had a big birthday this last weekend, one of those big birthdays with the 0 at the end. And I received this deck of the White Light Oracle, which is kind of pretty. I'm just getting to know it. And so I'm going to shuffle up these cards. I'm going to choose 2 cards today. And then from those 2 cards, we're going to lead you into your reading. And then we're going to choose another deck to help illuminate that reading, and then we're going to do some Hebrunes on top of that. And I don't know how many I'm going to pull. We'll see when I get there. Again, I've been feeling a little unmotivated, and I think it may be having to do with astrological and such things that are coming up right now in the world. So let's start out by setting these off to the side and using our White Light Oracle deck to shuffle. These are kind of huge, so we'll see what comes out. Whether anything is easy or if we're just gonna pick some off the top after we shuffle. Ginormous. There's 1. Let's get number 2 up here. And once I pick those, we're gonna look in the little book and see what that card is about. Woo! There's 1. I'll just take that one that ended up here. Okay, so we have 2 cards, and we'll flip them both over, see what they each are, and then you choose one, and we'll take you to your reading. This one is the Yeshe Tsogyal 333, and it's card number 33. A lot of 3s there. And the second card is the Sacrament of Extreme Unction. And that's card number 34. Interesting. 33 and 34, even though they came out of different parts of the deck. Sequential. All right, so take a moment to decide which of these 2 cards is the one calling to you today. And I'll put the timestamps down below, and I will see you in your separate readings. Hello, card number 1, those of you who chose Yeshe Tsogyal 333. This is what your card says. You shall overcome all obstacles. Success is imminent, so stay connected to your path no matter what, and continue to apply yourself. Allow your spiritual path to support you in all areas of your life. Live by your spiritual beliefs. Seek out the support of your spiritual brothers and sisters for help when needed, but also trust that you are intimately and directly connected to the powerful divine light within. There can be a dramatic healing breakthrough when you rely upon your spiritual connection. And then there's more pages about this particular deity and the relationships, and there's the divine saying welcome. So we're going to set this up at the top of our bowl here today, our altar piece. But as I said, we're going to also pull out another deck from our bowl of decks here and see what comes up for that as well. Ooh, bunches of them flying out. I'm going to take the one that hit the floor. And here it is. We have the Steampunk Tarot. All right, let me run and grab that deck. It's interesting the Steampunk Tarot came up here because it does, it seems like there couldn't be two decks that are more different than the White Light Oracle and the Steampunk Tarot, wisdom from the gods of the machine. But that's what we have today, so some contradictions maybe, or conjunctions of two different things coming together. And so we're going to start out here then in this reading, pulling out another card for you. There it is. And we have the card number 8, the Engineer. Let's see what the Steampunk Tarot book has to say about the Engineer. So it's one of the major arcana. The Engineer is the one who maintains the great machine by her skill. She's found a way to harness power and mastered its flow and its workings. As one of the primary gods of the machine, she stokes and tends the engines, keeping everything running from her deep reserves. Here she calmly tends a mighty robot, which in turn tends an even vaster machine. Just because something is big doesn't make it monstrous. Giving it your power by allowing your fears prominence would be self-defeating. The coin of fear, when faced uppermost, locks down power. When the flip side of the coin is uppermost, then power is in control. In this brave new world, the Engineer enables you to calmly find the power to cope with things with conviction and courage. But she also understands exactly when to acknowledge that things can't always be done alone. Machines require respect, or else they will become your masters, and you their slave. When you connect to the power within, you can be encouraged and supported. Nice. Okay, so the Engineer is the one who keeps things running, and Yeshe Tsogyal is talking about overcoming obstacles and success as well. So that's fascinating. They're similar in their readings. And let's get some further clarification from our Hebrunes. So, as I said, this reading is about kind of overcoming stuckness. And what I'm seeing here so far with the power of the tiger and the power of the Engineer is that the power exists within you to create what you need to create and to move forward. And the number 8 here speaks to the infinite, with the infinity loop looking like an 8. And 333 is one of these magical numbers of angel numbers, and 3s are about moving forward. So I think that, the stagnation that has been up for us right now in this period of astrological kind of chaos happening is maybe coming to an end, and us being able to tap into our inner power is the thing that's going to help us get through this, and understanding that we have that power within. So I'm going to just pull out 3 Hebrunes today. I am, again, finding myself kind of stuck and stagnant, and I'm going to see what's up with that. So we're going to do 3. The one at the top is what's coming down from above. We have the letter Shin. In the center, this is our challenge, our fear. We have the Samech. And at the bottom is our outcome, and we have the letter Tet. All right, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. There we go. So what's coming down from above is the letter Shin, and Shin is the mother letter of fire, and it's about passion. And I see that present in both these cards, this ability to tap into the power, this fire. Shin is the letter that begins the word Shekhinah, which is the indwelling presence of the divine. And in that Tiger card, it's talking about how we need to really tap into our inner divinity in order to find the power within us. This is also the first letter of the word Shuva, which means to return. So again, having been lost, maybe it's time to turn around and return to ourself, to return to the divine, to return to the power that exists within us. It's this creation element of fire, so there's this connotation of the sun, the moon, the stars, all the lights of the sky, and that heavenly presence. It's also the first letter of the word shalom, which means wholeness, and shini, which means change. So fire and change and presence and return are all present here within the shin. And it speaks to passion, so something is lighting up right now. Maybe we've felt that our embers have been dimmed, but what's coming down from the divine is that passion, that rekindling of the spirit within. And I think that's lovely and that's wonderful. It gives us the power. It gives us the power to, again, tap into our inner wisdom, our knowing, and also the power to create and to engineer what needs to be engineered in order to move forward. In the center, we have the letter Samekh, which is the position of what represents our fear or challenge in the situation. And this letter Samekh is a circle. It's about cycles and seasons and things turning and changing. So again, that idea of change is here, that things go round and round, and that there may be a difficulty with feeling stuck or feeling like nothing's ever going to change. But we need to know that this cycle is here and it is changing. It's also the first letter of the word sovev, which means to surround. And so it has this aspect of being protected and surrounded with comfort and love and also boundaries. It's the letter that represented a thorn in the Proto-Hebrew. So we have this thorniness that comes with it. It's the foundation of agitation in the version of the Sefer Yetzirah that I read. So there's an agitating piece to it, and yet those boundaries can be made up of thorny hedges that then protect us. So there may be a thorn of something that is provoking us forward, and it may be a thorn that is encouraging us to set up boundaries around us. And that may be a challenge here, that despite the fact that we are needing to have those boundaries, the boundaries may be challenging right now. It is the letter that represents the right hand in the body. So something about being able to use our dexterity may be challenging right now, that we're not feeling very dexterous in whatever it is we are attempting to do. But the engineer here, you can see, is working with their hands and coming up with amazing inventions in order to progress. So I think that there is a challenge around that. Again, setting up the good boundaries, knowing what to let in and what to leave out, and also the idea that cycles and seasons are turning, that this is a temporary situation that we're in right now, and it's not going to be like this forever. So there may be a challenge around remembering that, or a fear that this is where we are, we're stuck, that we are stuck in this thorniness and this agitation. But in fact, the wheels do cycle and turn. So the Samekh is here to remind us of that. And the outcome here is interestingly a tet. The letter tet represents a container, a vessel of some kind. It's often seen as a cup or a basket, perhaps. And it can also be seen as a womb space. So it has this idea of gestation, pregnancy. It's affiliated with the word good, which is tov in Hebrew. It begins the word tov, so there's this idea of goodness within this cup, this vessel, whatever it might be. It also looks a little bit like a snake if you look at it. And there's this ancient idea of the snake coiling around like a basket or inside of a basket. And the snake is an ancient symbol of the goddess. So there's this feeling of the feminine energy here, the feminine divine that is one who nurtures and gestates. The letter Tet is the number 9 in Gematria, so it does correspond to those 9 months of pregnancy in the human body. And this idea that there's a good thing within that womb space containing goodness. It's this idea of renewal also. The 9 harkens back to the 9 shofar blasts that happen near the new year of Rosh Hashanah, which represents a renewal of the year. So there's this idea of renewal and birth, and the snake shedding its skin and being able to renew and become something and birth out into a newness. So whatever the case may be with regards to our fear around the agitation that we may be feeling right now, there is something good coming. It's really interesting that these letters, even though they are Hebrew, and even though these are not English letters, when I look at it really quickly, it looks like it's saying, wow, in some strange way. Or what? Even though that's a shin and a samik and a tet, just my brain is making connections here. So we have the 333 and the number 33 on the Yeshe Tsogyal, and we have the 3 flames coming up on the shin, saying, coming down from the divinity is this idea of power, this idea of fire, inspiration, and something lighting up in this bright new space. That even though there's a fear around agitation or boundaries or cycles and seasons, that what's coming is something good, that there is goodness within this vessel, whatever it is that is gestating right now, this invention that we've come up with, that the engineer is working here. And the engineer can be seen as the divine, or it can be seen as us using divinity to create. Whatever the case may be, it all comes to good, and there may be a further waiting period at the end here because there is this gestation piece with the 9 months. But that renewal will come to goodness in the end with the Tov. So I think it's a beautiful reading saying that don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if things seem stuck, if you feel like you're not setting good boundaries or that you're agitated right now, that this thing is just a cycle and that there is inspiration coming here from the divine. And if we can lean into that inspiration with the tiger here and lean into the knowledge that we have the power within us, within the infinite, to create what is good, then we can rest in the knowledge that it will all come to goodness in the end. So for those of you who chose Yeshe Tsogyal, this is your reading. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you here next time. I hope you find your way out of the stuckness as I do as well. Hello, those of you who chose the card Sacrament of Extreme Unction. This is what your card looks like. It's, again, number 34. And this is what it says in the book. Your heart knows how to let go so you can find peace. It is time for you to experience spiritual closure. A beautiful new reality is opening up for you. Entering it requires you to release your attachment to the past. You have been inwardly preparing for a powerful rebirth. Now is the time to trust in what is meant for you and move it toward you with an open, trusting heart and peaceful mind. Sacrament of Extreme Unction. So release here, this is interesting. It's extreme unction means the last anointing, which is given at the time of death in certain religious traditions. So interesting that this, also the number 34, which if you add 3 and 4 together gets you 7, which is the completion number in Hebrew because of the 7 days of creation. It's an ending, but it's also a beginning, and I love that here. I love this card. It looks very, very feminine genitalia to me. I don't know what it looks like to you. It's almost like a flower or a birth, but it could also be a death, I suppose. But it looks like it's something coming out of a uterus or something going into a vulva. Whatever the case may be, here it is, the Sacrament of Extreme Unction. And we're going to set that in that card holder and slide it up here. And then, as I said, we're going to pull out another deck from this bowl of decks and see what other message we have to combine together before we get to our Hebrunes. Let's just pull one. I'll take this one. And our deck today is the Animal Spirit Oracle. Hold one while I go get that. Okay, so I have the Animal Spirit Oracle here. Let's shuffle it up and see if we have one card that wants to come out and give further clarity to this card. There it is. All right, let's take a look and see what we have. It is the Dragon. So Dragon is one of the cards that sits in the Spirit segment of this deck. And here's what it says. Dragon, seeing one's most true self, balancing the ego. The dragon sees everything. Its essence has been with us since before our breath and will be there at our last. It watches us navigate the external world as well as our inner world. When dragon energy is awakened, we are courageous, visionary, and can easily drop into witness consciousness. It's almost as if we are traveling with a great friend inside of ourselves. When we look in the mirror, deep into our eyes, we may even glimpse the self behind the self, the one who is watching us. This is the power of the dragon, breathing transformative fire into every cell of our bodies. Dragon energy, love that. And I love that it has this same connotation of something that's been with us at the birth, as well as being there with us at the end. So Spirit, in the form of dragon, is here telling us that we have what it takes, this omnipotent energy, if we can let it guide us. And the dragon, of course, is oftentimes affiliated with fire, although there are many different kinds of dragon in the world. This is the year of the dragon that we're doing this reading in right now. All this could be a timeless reading. But interestingly, for me, I'm a person who was born in the year of the dragon. So it's significant for me to have this sense of release and this sense of being watched and protected maybe by the spirit of the dragon. And this is the year of the wooden dragon, for those of you who are following along in Chinese astrology. So we're going to pull out some Hebrunes as well to give us further clarity about how can we break through whatever is feeling stuck right now in our lives. I'm going to pull out 3 Hebrunes. And from the top we have the letter Samech, which is interesting because we have that circle and then that circle at the top again. In the center we have the letter Shin. Wow, okay. And at the bottom we have the letter Yud. Interesting. Well, I'm saying this is really interesting because 2 of these 3 letters are the same ones that came up in the first reading. So these are definitely up, although they're in different positions. So what's coming down from above, the Samech is the letter that speaks to the idea of being surrounded. It's a circle. And it's also this idea of cycles and seasons. So things are shifting and changing. That there's something that's going around and coming back around like a season, like the wheel of the year. It's also the letter that begins the word sovev, which means to be surrounded. So we have this idea of being surrounded with protection, being surrounded with family, maybe with love, with a big hug. And it's also the idea of being surrounded with boundaries, good boundaries, being protected in terms of like the sacrament of extreme unction, which is what's given at the time of death in certain religions that give people protection theoretically as they travel between worlds. And the dragon is also watching over us with this protection. I love this. And so the Psalmic is here telling us that coming down from the divine is protection, being watched over, and also good boundaries, that we are surrounded. This is the foundation of agitation in the Sefer Yetzirah, because in the Proto or Paleo Hebrew, it looked like a thorn. So there's this idea of thorniness that can be agitating, but it can also help us to set up good boundaries, like a rose has thorns that protect it from being just plucked by anyone. We need to set up good boundaries around ourselves in the form of thorns that will keep out predators and keep in our livestock. So whatever it is we're trying to tend and protect here needs to be protected. And the divine is giving us the opportunity to have that protection surrounding us and helping us to set up good boundaries. You can see there's a little bit of a vestigial thorn in the upper left corner here. And I think that's a beautiful representation of the divine, this idea of protection as well as agitation, because it's the divine that spurs us forward into doing the next thing. So we have this idea of wheels and cycles and seasons, things transforming, going from releasing one thing and protecting ourselves in another way. And I like that it's got that O and that circular shape here at the top, representing spirit, representing the protection of spirit. And that the dragon is the one who watches over is very beautiful. And that's the divine within. And the center letter in our reading is the letter Shin, and this position is the position of what's our challenge or our fear here. And we have the letter Shin, which is the mother letter of fire. The mother letter of fire speaks to the sun and the moon and the stars. It's a creation element, right? So we have fire, and of course we have the dragon, which often is affiliated with fire. The Shin is also the first letter of the word Shekhinah, which means the indwelling presence of the feminine divine. And since, as I said, this card of extreme unction looks a little bit feminine genitalia to me, it looks a little bit like a womb space or a vulva, the divine feminine being here is also wonderful. And this fieriness that is here, it's passion, it's maybe even anger. And maybe that's the challenge here in this position of the center of what's our challenge or our fear here. Maybe we're afraid of the fire. Maybe we're afraid of the transition and the transformation. Maybe we're afraid of that passion or anger that's coming in. Shin is the first letter of the word Shini, which means change. So something is changing and transforming, and change can be scary. Change can be hard. It's also the first letter of the word Shuva, which means return. So we're returning to ourselves, we're returning to the divine. In this form of release that comes with extreme unction, we're returning our bodies to the earth perhaps, or we're returning our souls to divinity. And it is the first letter of the word Shalom, which means wholeness. It's often translated as peace, but it's not just the absence of war. It's some kind of wholeness which includes all things divine. So that can be really scary to embrace, the wholeness of all. It can be really hard and challenging to understand that we need to release and change and return to the divine when we're maybe in our comfort zones. So here we have this fire, this fieriness that's here, that's offering us the challenge of maybe spurring us forward too, but the fear around how do we embrace the indwelling presence of the divine? How do we allow for the passion to fire up? And it could be in the form of anger or just some kind of change we're maybe not feeling prepared for yet. And our outcome letter in this reading is the letter Yud. And the letter Yud is the smallest of all the letters. It's the first jot of each of the letters. You'll see there's a Yud in the upper left corner of the Psalmic. There's 3 yuds on the top of the shin. So the yud here is that very first letter, the seed that is planting all of the letters. And it is the first letter of the divine name, the yud he vav he, which is this contraction of the verbs to be in the past, present, and future. This idea of becoming. So the outcome of our reading here is that the becoming one, the seed, this potential for all the seeds that come afterwards. There's a seed being planted here. It is this one point, the atom, the point from which all the creation occurs, like the Big Bang happened from that one point. And the foundation of sexuality, which is like a sperm being planting a seed also. It's this building blocks of the universe and creativity, artisanship. And it's the number 10 in Gematria, so it represents the number 1 in an ultimate manifestation. So this sort of number 1 on steroids here. This idea of the divine, which is the oneness of the divine times 10. So a really big one here. And I correspond it to the Fool card in Tarot. So interestingly, it's like setting off on a new journey. It's this beginning, this open mind, this idea of something starting. So it's a really similar reading to the first reading, and if you're interested in going back and listening to that one as well, the messages here are not dissimilar. We have this idea of release, something we're letting go of. This idea of, in this particular card, the Sacrament of Extreme Unction is about death. It's about releasing what you can no longer hold and letting that go. And the dragon watching over us, knowing that the divine is within and that we have the ability to transform with the power of the divine within us. That we're being surrounded by divinity, that we're being surrounded by protection, agitated forward as well right now, and that we may have some fear around that indwelling presence. We may have some fear around change and around transformation, and maybe even returning ourselves to the divine, returning our bodies to the earth. But in the end, that makes a seed being planted. That means that things can grow again, that each death may be a birth into a new place, and that even we're not talking about literal death necessarily, but we have this ability to know that when we put something into the earth and bury it, a seed can grow up out of there, and newness is coming in. The unknown, but newness. So for those of you who chose the Sacrament of Extreme Unction, know that transformation occurs and that new seeds are planted, and that even if we're feeling stuck right now, something new is coming in, and maybe there'll be a fiery change that's about to occur. We're being watched over by the divine, protected from whatever harm may come to us, and planting ourselves in the trust that divinity gives us. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll look forward to seeing you here next time.